All right, let's do an NFL draft profile on Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to start out by saying that I focused on 4 games here with my film, but I did watch Shedeur throughout the entire season. It was not just about these 4 games, but the 4 games I'm going to be focusing on is Nebraska, at Kansas, Texas Tech, and BYU in the bowl game. For starters, though, let's get into the strengths and weaknesses. Shedeur had a very quick arm throughout his entire college career. I think it's pretty much a laser. He could throw almost any ball on the field quickly, and he does put good touch on it, in my opinion. I think he's highly accurate. And if you want an example of that, go check out the third quarter of the Texas Tech game. He threw a back shoulder fade to Will Shepherd for a touchdown, and it was an absolute beautiful ball. It required precision accuracy, a very quick throw, and good touch on the ball to make it catchable for his receiver, and he did exactly that. Now, he has tons of experience with pressure versus both the defense and the pressure of being Deion Sanders' son, the spotlight of the Colorado football program, a team that has been on Fox Sports, ESPN, First Take, you name it. There's a lot of pressure that comes into being the quarterback at Colorado, especially being the son of a Hall of Fame player like Deion Sanders. This guy has done it all and really dealt with the pressure. He's pretty durable when it comes to the pressure on the field. And if you don't believe me, check 3 minutes into the second half versus Kansas. He got absolutely obliterated on a 15-yard completion. There was a timeout in the game, and he comes right back in and delivers another strike yet again. I think Sanders has taken way more damage than anybody else on this list when it comes to taking hits from the defense, and he seems to get up every time. I think that's a good sign. Now, is he getting hit by guys that are going to be playing on Sunday? Probably not, but overall, he does an excellent job of dealing with the pressure, getting his reads in, and making throws. Yes, there's a lot of sacks on there, but a fair amount of them are just this offensive line at Colorado. Last year, they were historically bad. This year, they were just pretty bad. That being said, Sanders does a good job with pressure. Now, he puts up great numbers and doesn't make the critical mistakes. If you look at those 4 games that I'm talking about, he has 252 passing yards a game in those games, 2.25 touchdowns to just 0.75 interceptions, no fumbles that I can see, a quarterback rating of 52, which is not great, but a completion percentage of 69.8, and he had 1 rushing touchdown in those 4 games. I think Sanders does not force the ball into tight windows. There was 1 really bad interception versus Nebraska in the first half, but I don't think that was a throw where he was trying to force a ball. It looked like a throw where there was a little miscommunication of alignment with his receiver. He threw a comeback route when the receiver ran like a curl. That's what it looked like to me. But that being said, there's not a lot of those on the film. I think Sanders does an excellent job making sure that his receivers are in the right spot, and he's really good at timing and precision. Makes good reads. He can go up to the line, make pre-snap checks, shift the protection on the defense. I think Shedeur Sanders is really, really good at that. Now, he does a lot with an extremely limited offense. That's the last strength I have for him. We're talking about an offense that does not have premier talent outside of him and Travis Hunter. To me, maybe you see a guy like Will Shepherd. He might be a guy that could play on Sundays. There's a couple of other Colorado receivers that are kind of climbing up the draft boards right now. I don't necessarily think that any of those guys are someone to quote-unquote write home about. They're not a Marvin Harrison Jr. They're not a Julio Jones type player. Of course, Travis Hunter is, but with that being said, Sanders has done an absolute masterclass, or has an absolute masterclass of film on how to do the most with the least, and he's done exactly that. Specifically, I'm talking about his offensive line, but I already mentioned that. Let's hop into the weaknesses. Now, first thing I want to talk about Sanders is, and I'm not trying to disrespect him in any way, he's not an athlete by any means. When it comes to pressure, it's very rare to see him perform some great feat of athleticism to get the ball down the field. He is very much a vertical passing or a vertical pocket quarterback. I do not see a ton of lateral quickness by him. Making plays using his legs, it's questionable at best. He has 0 rushes of 25 yards or more in 2024. I think every other quarterback that we're going to be looking at in these draft profiles has at least 1 rush of 25 yards or more. He's not pocket elusive. Granted, once again, offensive line, not great. But like I said, a vertical pocket quarterback. He does not like to get around in the pocket left and right. It's up or down. It's not left to right at all. He is a very sackable quarterback in my mind. And it's not due to a lack of size, but it seems that once the defense gets hands on him, he's either throwing the ball away or he's going down immediately. There's not a ton of break sack potential there. I don't think that Sanders has a ton of experience against top tier talented defenses. Most of his games were shootouts, and that seems to be a major problem for a lot of quarterbacks going into the league. Yes, you're getting more reps, but you're not experiencing the top tier talented defenses like a Michigan, an Ohio State, a Notre Dame, an Alabama, a Georgia. And here's the thing. When he played a top 20 defense like Nebraska, like BYU, he scored 14 points and 10 points. So to me, that's not a good sign that he's ready to go and play on a Sunday. Once again, very limited offense, but that's just my opinion. Now, speaking of his limited offense, I thought that there were hardly any downfield plays that were made to anyone but Travis Hunter. Yes, you can find a seam route to the tight end here and there. Yes, you can find a 10-yard in route by Will Shepherd. But other than that, if Sanders is trying to throw the ball down the field, he is locking in on Travis Hunter. I don't think that is going to be something that's good on the tape. Yes, there are generational receivers in the league that you can do that with. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, but that's not a guarantee that you're going to have that going to a team. Now, if he gets drafted to the Giants and has Malik Neighbors, that's another story. But to me, this offense, yet again, very limited in the talent, but also very limited in the play calling. Pat Schumer, an NFL guy, offensive coordinator for this Colorado team, did not call a ton of complex plays, a lot of jailbreak screens, bubble screens, RPO looks, and to me, that is not something that translates to the NFL very well. I think it fits a couple of quarterbacks in their job description and what they do in the NFL, but overall, when talking about making progression reads and checking things at the offensive line, making audibles, you didn't see a lot of that with Sanders, especially in these games versus the top tier teams like Nebraska and BYU. Now, here's my review. Shedeur Sanders, he's an old school quarterback prospect. He commands the field from the pocket. He uses his knowledge of the game to manipulate defenses and put his skill position players in positions to succeed. This is a guy who I view as a cerebral quarterback. He knows what to do on the field, and it's very clear that the highest IQ player on the field is him almost at all times. Now, Sanders doesn't have the athletic build that stands out at the combine like an Anthony Richardson or maybe a Jalen Milroe in this draft, but I think he's going to do very well in a meeting room. He has a lot of confidence, and to me, he's not somebody who jumps off the page, but he plays the game in a safe way with a low-risk offense. If you're a team that needs a game manager at a very high level, I think Sanders could be it. He could excel with the right personnel, like a Tyreek Hill or somebody on that caliber where big speedster can get open very quickly, throw quick strikes. To me, my comp is Tua with a stronger arm. I think Sanders can exceed expectations in an offense like that, maybe with a Sean Payton type player where you have Bo Nix or Drew Brees, the point guard. Sanders can absolutely do that. And he's not a quote-unquote mindless player. He can make those calls on the field. It doesn't always have to be the offensive coordinator. That being said, my grade for Sanders is a 6.0, which on my scale is a 3+ year starter, potential Pro Bowler. I think Sanders could put up some really great numbers. It's going to depend on where he goes in the draft. Fit is almost everything. You look at all these quarterbacks that get drafted in the first round, and you go with a Josh Rosen in Arizona. He gets 1 year, and that's it. Kyler Murray's up next. You get a Josh Allen with the Bills. Had time to develop, and look where he's at now. So with that being said, Sanders has the potential to be a good starter in the league. I don't know if I would necessarily take him in the top 5, but I know quarterbacks are very important. So with that being said, that's my draft profile on Shedeur. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.